Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to our Sunday discussion with my grandson, Michael Reynolds. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
I thought tonight would be a great moment to discuss a very significant event that happened this week that everybody in the United States of America is thinking about, feeling about, and that's the presidential election that just happened on Tuesday. So I wanted to talk about a couple aspects, but mainly to focus on what we can take away in the sense of a spiritual on a spiritual level. How can we look at this? And I know that there's a lot of people who are coping with disappointment. And then there are many others who are very happy with the outcome. So, how do we, without being divided, how do we reconcile this it seems like a vast divide that's happening right now? How do we navigate this as lovers of God, of people who want to see a better world? How do we navigate this, and how do we move forward? So I want to start this conversation with a story. So uh, there was a father and son, and they had a farm. And his son was the main person that helped him work on the farm. So they had one horse that helped him plow the field and do all the work. And so one day his son accidentally left the gate open and the horse ran away. So he went to his father and he said, "Dad, I'm so sorry. I left the gate open and the horse ran away. Now what are we going to do? We're sunk. We can't, you know, do any tilling or anything." And the father said, "Well, who's to know what's good or bad?" So the next thing that happened was a couple of days later, all of a sudden, the horse comes back. And with him, he brings all these Mustangs, these wild Mustangs, followed him back to the farm. So they got all these wild horses now. So the son goes to the father and says, "Dad, we're rich. We have all these horses now. All our problems are solved. Isn't this wonderful?" So the father said, "Who is to know what's good or what's bad?" So then it went along, but then the son decides, "I've got to break some of these horses because, for them to be useful." So he proceeds to do that, and he gets thrown off the horse and breaks his leg. So he goes and says, "Dad, I feel so terrible. Now my leg is broken and I cannot help you in the fields again. What are we going to do? We're just going to, go broke and everything." So the father said, "Who's to know what's good or what's bad?" A couple of days later, here comes the military. A war had broken out, and they came to conscript his son into the military. But upon seeing him that he had a broken leg, they said, "You can't come, you can't serve." So what did the father say? Well, who's to know what is good or what is bad? So the lesson from this, I think, it brings us to today. No matter who you voted for, no matter what you think of what's happening right now, we do not know the outcome of this. We have no idea if it be good, bad, in somewhere in between. We have no idea. So just because we feel that something perhaps didn't turn out the way we expected it to, It takes a lot of maturity to navigate disappointment. It takes a lot of maturity to look at something and say, this didn't turn out exactly the way I want it to be. Well, whether it's good or whether it's bad, we will see. We don't know. So, why would we want to decrease our light, decrease our love for something, for one election, for one person, for one anything? We are so much more powerful than that. We have so much more. We're so much greater than that. And anyways, if we do that, it's not helping anything. Is that creating a world that we want? Michael, give me some ideas. How can we create a better world for everybody?
That's a heavy question. I
Yes.
would say, I would say, oh man, you know, I think it really comes down to everybody individually creating for themselves what's best for them. And that requires everyone to have the freedom to do so. It requires everyone to have the opportunity to do so, and the ability to learn the skills they need to be able to make that happen. That's what comes to my mind. What about you?
On an individual, and that's so true. And I totally agree with all of that. It's absolutely true. So, on an individual spiritual level, what we can do is to feel into the kind of world we want to live in and we want everybody else to live in. Because before anything comes to pass, before it's created, and we are creators, we have that ability. Before we can create anything, we have to feel the reality of it. We have to see it. We have to feel it. So if you don't have a vision for what you want the world to be, that vision will, without a vision, the people falter. Nothing happens. Everything stays the same or actually gets worse. So you have to have a vision for what you want the world to be. And when you vote, you're actually creating a vibrational imprint on the universe as to the kind of world you want to live in, because you're voting for the person that you're hoping, to the best of your ability, that can contribute towards the kind of world you want to live in. So that's why voting is so important. But on an individual level, I think people all want the same thing, which is freedom. They want peace. They want enough money to be able to have the necessities of life and maybe a little bit more. So they're not struggling. They want equality. They want their children to be safe. We all, as humans, we all want the same thing. We all want to be loved. We all want to be accepted. And that brings me to another point. Don't be a hater. If you don't agree with somebody else's opinion or whatever, don't contribute to the collective consciousness of hate. We have enough of that. We have wars, we have enough. So this is easier said than done. You have to lift yourself up and rise above the fray and stop listening to negativity, because what you're listening to, what you're listening to affects your emotions. The music you listen to, the news you listen to, what you read, so guard yourself and be good to yourself. Listen and read stuff that makes you feel uplifted, inspired. There's inspiring things that you can do. What is your gift and talent? What do you want to bring to the world? Instead of, put off, go ahead and grieve or go ahead and gloat, whatever you want to do, but get past it and get to a place where you say, this is the gift that I bring to the world, and this is what I'm going to do about it. And go about doing it. What is it that you want to bring, Michael?
And there's a lot I want to bring. As you were talking, I was just really feeling what you're saying. Like, there's been times in my personal life where I've gone through some significant losses and felt a lot of deep sorrow because of it. And then I've also gone through some significant victories and felt some very very high level feelings from that. And so, I can only feel for both types of people, whether they're whatever they're feeling now. And at the end of the day, it's like, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And if we forget that, then that's when we start to become divisive. If we can remember that we're all human beings and everyone has hopes and dreams that are just as important as our own, and everyone has different ideas on how to get there, then um, it's 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 totally fine. I think most people, like, think of someone who has the complete opposite views as you. I think that most people who don't necessarily believe in something that's really a physical threat to anybody. Most people, I think most people are pretty good, even if they have some whack ideas, crazy ideas. I don't think there's like Ted Bundy need to be locked up, necessarily. Although there are people like that, and we need to be aware of that and be wise and protect ourselves. But I think most people, we can be um, compassionate with safely, and I think we can create a safe space for people to see the world how they see the world and respect that and love that, because that's them. That's who they are at this point. And to love them and to realize too that, like, our views and our perspectives in politics or religion or whatever it is don't define who we are. We're all infinite, beautiful, intelligent beings of equal infinite worth, and nothing can ever change that. It's just some people see it in themselves and others, and some people don't. That's it. And we are all on the same level of worth and value. And no matter what you believe or think, like, to me, it's like my ultimate challenge, or my opportunity for growth, is to just see your infinite worth no matter what, and to love you for that. And for the uniqueness that you bring to the world and the value you bring to the world, and just for existing. And so what do I want to bring to the world? I want to bring that. Like, I want to embody what I just said. I want to show people an example of what it means to disagree and love each other, no matter what, at the same time. And also an example of how to do that and protect oneself or others from people or things that are actually harmful, because that's also real. We don't live in a perfect world right now. So I think being able to be aware of when to turn on which one, like, is this a safe place or is this something we need to protect ourselves from? I think is a sign of deep emotional maturity and development. And I don't think I have it mastered yet. But I think what we're seeing is I think sometimes we think that because someone disagrees with us, they are a threat to our safety or our security. And that's just not true most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. I love what you said. You really got down to the essence, which is we are really all one. We're all connected because first of all, we all, on an energetic level, we are all connected. Even though it appears we're separate, we really aren't. So we're all one. And if we can really believe that and embody that, there's no way we can hate. There's no way we can do anything but respect. Everybody is a divine emanation of God. Every child, every person, every being, every living thing on this planet is an emanation of God. God loved us so much that God gave us the ability, God's ideas stream through us. God expresses itself through man and woman. That is the unique beauty of being a human, having a spiritual incarnation, spiritual existence here on this planet is a divine privilege. So God acting through us is amazing. And so if you find that to be true, then you tap into your spiritual resilience at this time. You tap into your spiritual maturity, as you mentioned, because every single person that's listening to this or may listen to it has had trials and challenges, and they're still here, so they've come through them. So you're resilient. You have that capacity. So tapping into that resilience, coming back from disappointment or whatever else that you may be experiencing, even things that don't even have anything to do with the election. It could just be everyday life, is challenging always. So I think that we have much to be grateful for, and that we have a lot of resources that we can tap into to help us get back into this place of vibrationally being a loving presence on the planet. If we've got off base a little bit, one way or the other. And I think, if you want a world that works for everyone, then be that. Embody that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not doing it perfectly. It's a lifelong journey.
Yeah. 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 And like, and think about like what a beautiful, powerful opportunity an election is to bring people together in the most challenging sense. Like, and what I mean by that is it's such an opportunity for growth. It's like, okay, it's time for both parties to step up and level up in our consciousness and our aware and our capacity to love. Like, if you're the, like, let's say you feel like you're a victor, because of the results of the election. Like, what an opportunity it is for you to feel the win and not let ego overwhelm you or overrun you to feel like you need to like rub it in people's face or push people while they're down. And and on the opposite end, like if you feel like this was a defeat, like what an opportunity is to learn the lesson of, like you said, like getting up when it's hard and moving forward with hope, regardless of what right now seems to manifest. And it reminds me of like the story you shared at the beginning, sort of that parable of the father and the son. I love that so much because it's like this life is like the perfect training ground to learn how to love like God loves, and to learn how to deal with every type of emotion and every type of trial and every type of victory that can exist, and to grow from and become like a new person through it. Because I remember yesterday I was surfing, and I I really wanted to surf my best in the session. And for some reason, I felt like I wasn't. I was just like constantly frustrated after almost every wave. I felt like I wasn't surfing very good. And I really just, after, I was kind of like, dang, that wasn't the best session. And then like 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago, I get a text from my friend. His his friend was filming us, and he sent me the videos of me surfing, and I'm watching the videos and I'm like, dude, I was ripping. It's like, what, why did I think I wasn't surfing good? And it's kind of that same thing, like the opposite way too. Sometimes you think that you're performing good at something, and when you see yourself, you're like, oh, I wasn't doing that great. And then sometimes you think you're not doing good and you are doing great. So it's that same thing. It's like, who's to know what's good or bad? Like, we really don't know. We're so limited in our brain's capacity to really see things for how they really are as a whole. And I believe that the only way we can see that is through God's assistance. And even then, I don't think it's very common for God to show one individual everything all at once. I feel like he likes to give us little by little. And so it's like the same thing with this election. I think that people's behaviors are a reflection of themselves. And if we're if if we're in a state of insecurity, whether we feel like we won or lost, we can feel insecure. And I think that that's what we're seeing in the behaviors of individuals who are acting in ways that are kind of negative towards others. And then you have people who are mature, who are handling it really well too. I've seen that as well. So those are my thoughts.
I love what you said, Michael, about uh, us being here. This is a school, the school of life, right? Like every possible thing comes up in a person's life to learn and to overcome and to get strong. And I think you made a really good point about um, God, the way that we can connect with God. And I want to bring this up, and I'm glad that you mentioned this, is it helped me to remember something super important, that is meditation. You know, 20 years ago or whatever, meditation was like so woo woo, they're weirdos, and, no one wanted it, eh, not anyone, but most people looked at it as just, you're really strange if you meditate. And now science proves the benefits of meditation. So it actually changes our brain. It helps the prefrontal cortex. It helps with our health. It helps with, our mental well-being. But also in the silence is when you can hear God. God, whoever you call God to be, your higher power, that still small voice, you can only hear when it's quiet and when you surrender. And so sitting in the silence and meditation is invaluable, especially at this time when so many people are going through, difficult challenges and things. And there will be more challenges. So I think that we've brought up a lot of really good points, things for people to think about. If anybody has a comment or they would like to, uh, excuse me, bring out a topic that they would like us to discuss, please leave a comment. Thank you, Michael. You're fantastic. It really shows that you go deep within yourself. You have a great awareness. You also went to college and learned about mediation. You learned about peace building. And we need all of that. So I love you all. Peace and blessings. See you next time. Bye, Michael.
Bye, Grandma. Bye, everyone.